So the last game of the evening for us here at Beard Productions is going to be this one. It's the aforementioned ex-world champion from 2011, Adam Davis, and he's playing Alex Lewis. Alex won the lag and got us underway. He's broken dry, and that's us, bang up to date. Well, in fact, I tell a lie. I wasn't watching properly because someone was across here talking to me. He didn't break dry. He put on a red, and he's going to take yellows. Two old foes, these would have played cross swords a number of times, Alex and Adam. Suddenly got very awkward. It was anyway, but that positional shot has gone awry, and well, he's got. Just looking to see if that's touching, so it looks like he's just going to play a little containing shot. And here we have Adam Davis, and we mentioned earlier, obviously, that he's got that world title, but don't forget also that he did win one of those Supreme Series events, so he's, you know, it could almost be counted as two world titles with the kind of field that he was sweeping aside in that Supreme. Great player. Very unusual cue action, always has been. You can see his elbow. It was such a good shot there from right behind his elbow. His elbow kind of comes across behind his back. Very unusual. Obviously the optimal would be to have a straight elbow in that kind of pendulum motion, but you'll notice when you see Adam from front on, he also cues to the side of his chin, which is again something quite unusual. There's a few players that do it, but not many. Feels like Adam's going to have to try and maybe take some kind of plant here, unless he has the angle. Yeah, didn't have the potting angle, but just had the angle to take the pocket. I was just having a good chat with Oli Bell in the foyer. He's just driven up this afternoon, got caught in all kinds of traffic, took 7 hours to get up here. So he's probably not in the best of moods, but he's got off to a good start. He's 2-0 up against Gary Southern. Sam Bircher 4-1 against Harvey Perry. Ross Dunn currently playing, he's 1-0 up against Spencer Jones. Oh, Brown back in action. He's playing Jamie Clements. He's currently 6-5 up. That's not gone to plan. Okay, he's definitely taking control of the frame, but just pushing those two reds together. Should be okay, though. I think he can just... He's in total control, so just probably a case of breaking those back out again. The aforementioned Odie Bell just in the background there, sat at the table. Didn't realise he was just the other side of the partition. So he's on table 2, which is the table very next to this one. Lee Washbrook is now playing Jamie McDonald. So Lee's up here, he's 1-0 up. Rob Warren against Adam Basu, which is again just in the arena next to us. They're currently at 6 frames apiece. Adam can now use this shot to pretty much open up the entire frame, and although I don't think he went wholeheartedly at that pot, he was happy if it dropped or if it didn't really. It's gone in, and it should be the end of this first frame. Apologies, I just stepped away from commentary for a second. I just wanted to see the last couple of shots of Adam Basu against Rob Warren, which is just behind the wall. We're behind. Rob Warren won that frame, so he's through into the next round. 7-6. That was a hill game. Just want to see who was at the table. And as I stepped out there, noticed Oli on table 2. He's absolutely buzzing. He's currently 4-0, and his opponent was just stood there with a smile on his face. I think he was just a bit bemused with what he was seeing. Joined back on comms by Mark Shepherd. How you doing, Mark?
Very good. This looks like it should be a good match.
Yeah.
Been treated to some good stuff already tonight.
Yeah.
Nice to see Adam Davis back. Stalwart of various tours and world champion 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Another one of those players that just makes it look quite simple, not particularly flamboyant, just goes around, knocks them all in.
And I mean, another player that kind of flies under the radar a little, but again, we talked about it earlier. It's another Supreme Series event winner, which is, you know, up there with his World Championship, no doubt. Could be classed as almost like a second one. Yeah, very adept player.
Yeah, I rate him very highly. He's just a very steady player. And again, you know, anyone that's been around for 10, 15 years at the top of the game, like, it's not an overnight success. He's doing it day in, day out.
I really don't know what's going on across on table 2, but I literally, since I sat down, no more than 30 seconds ago or 40 seconds ago, then there's another, Oli Bell's got another frame on the board. He's now 5-0. He's literally buzzing over there. Very, very quick player, though.
I think it just knocks, if you're playing him, it just knocks you out of your routine. I mean, actually the sensible thing would probably be to play slower, but most people seem to get drawn into it and they start speeding up themselves. I don't think there's anyone better really once they're playing at that kind of pace once they get into their routine. Oli is just unplayable.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he doesn't do it 24/7, otherwise he'd be world champion all the time, but when he's on it.
Yeah, very much. And I think now having his own club, I mean, he always had his own table at home, but probably didn't put in the time because he was focused on other things. But now he has his own club, he's kind of always in the club and he's playing every day. You know, the tables are around him. There's always someone who wants to knock, so he's very in form.
Yeah, just playing a wide range of opposition is pretty useful. Good shot we've just seen there from Adam. He landed perfectly there to play the cannon to knock out the only difficult yellow. So it looks like it should be 3-0 if he can just negotiate his way up to the ball over the top right-hand corner.
The battle of the two practice partners. Currently, Neil Toms is beating Chris Patient 2-0.
Good player, Chris Patient, but then so is Neil Toms, so not surprised by that scoreline. So in typical Adam Davis style, all looking pretty straightforward. Nice to see a few pool clubs featured here, our sponsors that we're just running through. It's been a tough year for anybody in that business, so nice to see them all reopening. I think we're all raring to get back down the club. I mean, even if you've got a table at home, it's just the sort of the social side of it, get back to playing with friends and teammates. Perkins in the background, a long time stalwart of the tournament scene. Former chairman of the EPA, and put so much into the game organising these events over the years. And that's a pretty good break. They've all spread out nicely from each other.
Yeah, yellows have come out really well. And one ball pretty much leads to the next. Just needs to get on the one over the middle now. Well, doesn't need to get on that ball. Could have taken it next, or there's plenty of more than. This is one of those more than one way to skin a cat. Could have taken these three balls in pretty much any order, and taking split seconds over these shots there. About as simple as they come.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily peg him as a quick player, but actually, again, it's sort of deceptively quick, like he just doesn't mess around, gets around the table, gets on with it.
If they're there. I mean, he can be a little more measured when it's a tough layout, when he needs to think about it, when there's, it's a big frame, it might take a few extra seconds. But when he's 3-0 up and he's got dollies, you saw him there, literally sprinting around the table, and things not getting any better for Alex. Finding the pocket, and I don't think we get another look at the table. I don't think there's too much. I mean, he almost looks defeated already, doesn't he, Alex?
Well, yeah, I was going to say. I mean, I think he's experienced enough not to have thrown in the towel already, but it's just some days you just start thinking it's not your day. It's just like, what are you going to need to do against an opponent playing like this?
I mean, if Adam goes 5-0, you just, it would be a monumental effort for Alex to come back against him the way he's playing.
I mean, there's no question that Adam would have been the favourite for this match, but not prohibitively. I mean, Alex Lewis is a decent player. You wouldn't have been surprised if he'd have done well. Mind you, I mean, the same could be said of half the field. I mean, it's not even... It used to be you'd look through and you'd say, well, the winner's going to come from these half dozen people. But, I mean, on this field, you could name 20 people that could win it. Early Bale now 6-0 up against Gary Southern.
Yeah.
One element of pool that has really suffered with the lockdown has been sort of local league level. That's been a much harder thing. Some of the elite competitions, or some of the stuff we talked about where people were playing at home and videoing themselves, that's actually done pretty well for some players during this period of lockdown. But for those that were playing it more as a social event and playing in the local leagues, it's been pretty hard. By definition, those involve having a dozen people crowded around a table. That's not really the kind of thing that's been allowed for a pretty long time now. Although light at the end of the tunnel, and a lot of leagues start a winter season in sort of September-ish time, so I guess fingers crossed should be in good shape to do that again. It's not going to be an absolute formality getting on the black off the last red, which will be the one over the top left-hand corner pocket. I don't think he's necessarily going to be able to get plumb on it, but I think he's an experienced enough player to know you don't need to overcomplicate it, just leave yourself a shot.
Yeah, I'm going to assume he's going to play below it for the black in the middle and not try and land on it down the rail. Well, he's done neither. I'm not quite sure which he was trying to do, to be honest. He needed to hit it quite a bit harder to land below and come across the table a little more to be able to land on it down the rail, but he's gone for a double. Well,
He was a bit stuck in between. The trouble is, that even if he'd have played that shot harder, it's one of those ones you get kind of stuck to the top cushion. The spin changes direction.
yeah.
You need to hit it thinner, probably, if anything. Well,
Yeah, a little strange.
Well, I think this is a pretty important frame. I mean, if you can get it back to 4-1, it's maybe not done. I think 5-0, as you were saying, he was looking a bit resigned.
Yeah.
Well, talking about the speed of play, this is not a guy that messes around. I mean, it's a pretty simple finish, but not exactly taking long about it.
Yeah, he's a quick player. And Oli Bell has finished in his game. He won 7-0.
Well, that's more like it, and that just shows what can happen. I mean, we hadn't really seen much of Alex Lewis. You wouldn't have really known what kind of form he was in, but played well when he needed to.
And these games really can swing around. I mean, I'm not saying for a second it's going to happen, but if Adam comes up dry now and Alex finds a clearance and then a break dish, and suddenly it's 4-3 and he's very much in the game, these races to 7, you're never really across the line.
No, definitely. As long as your opponent needs a couple still for victory, it's like it gets a bit nervous when they get to 6, but still back at 4. There's plenty of headroom. I don't think he's a player to get too down on himself. Adam Davis never really gives that much away at the table. Maybe get some players that would be a bit annoyed to have thrown that frame away, but I think he'll just get on with it.
He certainly has with that break. I mean, this one could be over pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's one of those breaks where they're all pretty open. It's just a case of getting good position. It's the kind of break that pros take out pretty well, whereas actually amateurs, you could see quite a lot going wrong with this one.
Yeah.
The ball you'd feel might be the more difficult one to get on is the one in the top left-hand quadrant of the table. Obviously, it is an open enough shot, but there's just a few yellows just to get in the way of ideal position.
Yeah, yeah. I think he'd like to get on it. If not next, the shot afterward, he's still got balls around. I think play this to middle, and then it needs to be the next ball after that, because then he's got a natural position to play the one just to the right of the blue spot, or what would be the blue spot.
Yeah, definitely, and that's a sign of an experienced player. You don't leave the difficult one until last. That always ends badly. Just looking at where he wants to leave it. He could just choose to leave it pretty straight and screw back, or, well, in fact, deciding to go a different way.
He is leaving it until late.
Well, that's all right, but it's not a complete formality, the positional side of this. Just
No.
be a bit careful with this.
Assuming it passes the black, otherwise it wasn't the best of shots. It definitely does. Oh.
Well, only just, and caught it thick. It looks pretty tight, actually, from when we saw the camera angle behind it.
Yeah, and the thing for me, he got down and feathered a couple times and pulled the trigger. He didn't really take a lot of time over it. It seemed to be rushed.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he could only see half a pocket, but he sort of played it as though it was straight in.
He seems like he's in a bit of a hurry tonight.
I don't know whether...
Maybe he's got a half-finished dinner in his hotel room or something. He can't wait to get back up there and finish it off.
I can't really imagine he's got drawn into it. I mean, Alex Lewis is a pretty quick player. Like, you could see yourself kind of speeding up because you're playing him. I mean, someone of Adam's experience, I don't think he's going to fall into that mistake. Well, a moment ago it looked like it could be 5-0, but it's been a bit of a lifeline for Alex. Got the first frame on the board. This one isn't going to be as quick, but at least he can make a competition of it. Couldn't ask for much more than that. It wasn't a complete formality getting a snooker from there.
Decent snooker as well. I mean, not difficult to get out of, but even if he was to fluke it, can't get on the black, so had that safety net. And if Alex so wishes, he can pot a ball and lay another trap. He can maybe take out these couple of balls at the top of the table just to tidy things up. And it looks like that's what he's going to be doing. I would suggest he's going to try and lay the trap and maybe develop these balls at the same time. So he's looking, you can see there, probably planting the yellow onto black just to promote the black across the table, just open things up slightly whilst laying the snooker. Just got the wrong angle though. Can still lay the snooker, but I think the shot he wanted to play in trying to develop the black at the same time is no longer on.
Yeah, or he could have, I don't know if the top one of the two, wondered if he was planning to put that over the corner pocket. Either way, if he finished too low to play either of those shots.
That's a clever shot though. He's pushed that yellow across, just making the red a little smaller. Again, it's still a big target.
Also, if he plays it, well, it's not quite the right pace, I don't think. Or is it? I say he could finish behind it.
Great effort.
Yeah, I mean, one roll less, and that would have been a snooker back, which was improbable from where he was. Easy enough to play another snooker, though. Well, he's definitely in a hurry tonight, isn't he? Even this shot,
It is.
you think might take a bit of thought.
Again, not a difficult snooker back. Well,
yeah, this is actually a more difficult position for Adam. It looks like it should be simpler. The last time he was snookered, whereas this time he can see it.
Yeah.
Actually a harder shot to play.
slowly but surely get that red out into the open. And in all this time, Alex really hasn't managed to develop anything. Push that yellow over onto the side rail. The other one's tied up above the black, so Adam seems to be slowly wrestling the advantage back in this one. But Alex can still lay another trap. I mean, he can play a bit of a shot to nothing here. He can play the double and lay the snooker, and obviously if he gets the double, I think he'll probably be laying the snooker anyway. Needs that to slow down. No.
Yeah, I was about to say, on these fast tables, that's actually, on a club table, that's an easier shot because the ball rarely has enough pace to come off the second cushion, but there always looks a risk that might happen. I think he's got an angle to screw into the black.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, this is a careless frame to have lost from Alex's perspective.
Really is. Yeah.
Well, a claim of foul. That was a little bit hasty to be moving the balls after the frame had ended.
Alex shaking his head, quite rightly so. Had a distinct advantage in that one. John Rowe 4-0 up against Lewis Heathcote.
Yeah, John Rowe that won the World Championships the year after the man we're watching, Adam Davis. John won in 2012. We're seeing some good breaks here. That's another lovely split.
And it goes to show how big that last frame was. If Alex could have somehow found the win and then dished this one at 4-3, very different complexion on this game, and that's what I was talking about earlier, that can swing so quickly that it's just and you know you can't. We talked about it earlier. You just can't judge the players at the moment. You just don't know how much table time they've had. And it's really difficult to try and flow, isn't it?
Yeah, and sometimes it's when you get under pressure in a match that it starts to show. When you're not under any pressure, it's all quite easy and just flows as usual. But what they've probably missed, a lot of them, is this real hard match practice. He's played an okay shot there, but I'm not sure Alex is going to be in a great frame of mind after that last frame. He was already chasing the match a bit and threw away one that he could have won. Well, this is the longest he's taken to play any shot in quite a while, which gives you an indication of the difficulty. He was holding up his hand because the red's gone close to the yellow. He wasn't playing that. He was trying to leave it, well, maybe in, or certainly near the middle pocket.
Yeah, just caught the knuckle.
Having played the shot the way he did, he is pretty lucky he's covered the one at the top of the table, because all the yellows would have gone otherwise. Well, that's turned out okay. That could have gone wrong with where the second yellow was going, but it's finished nicely over the pocket. Looking for the cannon on the black, which hasn't come off.
Just felt like he's playing himself into a bit of a hole.
Yeah, it was a bit hasty, although he was only an inch away from making the cannon. If he knocks the black out, then suddenly everything's open and he can go for it. Priority for Adam is to sort out the red in the top left-hand corner before the yellow gets opened up. At the moment, he's got the luxury of a bit of time because there's one of the yellows tied up, but as soon as that's gone, it's going to become much more tricky for him. Obviously, he doesn't want to be moving the ball bottom left unless he can develop something in the course of doing it. A bit nothingy to me, that shot. I wouldn't have been very keen to move that unless I was certain I was developing the difficult one. Still in good control though. The thing when you play this fast is you look a bit careless. I mean, I suppose it's not that ridiculous a shot to knock that ball out and just try and get it in open play, but played at that pace, it just looks a bit reckless.
Yeah, I think it was another kind of attempt at trying to get the black out as well. And I'm just piling the traffic around the ball at the top of the table. And finally, Alex manages to move that black, but just moves it from one problem to another.
Yeah, it's turning into an interesting chess problem now. The safety battle played at great speed. Like, you often see people spend ages in these positions, but these guys not messing around. So a deliberate foul there. Adam's got 2 shots, but see limited options for what he can do with them.
Pushing another ball into that area.
Yeah, he didn't want that going in front of the black. I think he was
No.
hoping to hit it again now, which he can't do.
I'll be honest, I love a safety battle now and then. I really do. I mean, this is probably the first proper safety battle we've seen all day.
Yeah, this is actually an ideal one to watch as well because they're playing it quite quickly, but playing a safety battle.
It's always great seeing people breaking dish, but it's just equally nice to just see these tactical frames occasionally.
That's an interesting choice. I don't know if you want to get the yellow, the second yellow into that cluster. I mean, there's a million different ways of playing from here. It's about as complicated a position as it could be, given how many balls there are. I think some people would have been quite keen to keep their second yellow out of that.
Yeah. And I can hear people screenshotting this already and putting it up on Facebook and saying, world rules, look at it, this is what happens. Well, I mean, I've been sat in this chair now for 10 hours and this is the first time it's happened, so, you know, bring it on.
Yeah, we've got through a pretty serious quantity of pool. You must have commentated on a lot of frames today.
Yeah.
Can hardly complain it's been slow. I was saying earlier, I think for a Friday the standard's been terrific.
Yeah.
It used to be that the streaming these stages could be a bit variable, the quality, but I mean, all of these are matches well worthy of being on this #1 match table. Nice as well to have the up-to-date online scoring. Till a season or two ago, there was a manual element, although we published online scores. Somebody had to go around and collect them from each of the individual tables, all done online. Got tablets at each of the tables now to enter the scores on. Well, that shot ended up looking a bit silly. You couldn't really have imagined going in off from that position, although it didn't turn out that well either way. So we'll find out now if Adam thinks he can get this red round the yellow. Wow. I'm not sure it is carelessness, but there's been a few shots played pretty quickly by both of them that have ended up looking a bit silly because they've played them quite hard and quite fast and have not turned out well. Definite advantage, you think, at the moment to the yellow balls. Though he doesn't want, oh well, he really doesn't want that happening. Well, a very careless mistake is ultimately going to settle this. Pretty simple finish now for Adam. Well, that wasn't the way we were expecting this safety battle to end, but Adam will take it. If we were worried for Alex's frame of mind beginning this frame, I think we're certainly worried for it now. He can't be in a good place. 6-1 behind and thrown away a couple of frames now. Saw from the one what a good and fluent player he can be when he's in, but I'm not sure he's going to get enough chances to get back into this the way Adam's playing. So in the battle of practice partners on table 3, Neil Toms 6-0 up against Chris Patient. Another former world champion, Sean Chipperfield, in action against Ollie Laurie, 5-3 up. Well, in fact, world champions all the way. Sean Chipperfield, John Rowe and Adam Davis all won the world. All three listed next to each other in the draw. So Adam Davis breaking off in what he hopes will be the last frame of the match, leading by 6 frames to 1. Quite a straightforward position as his last few breaks, but still not tempted by any safety. Going straight after it, try to open up the cluster around the black.
Yeah, I think you're afforded that luxury when 6-1 ahead, aren't you? It's not come out quite as you would hope. There's still a considerable amount of work to do in the frame, but you feel it's more a question of when than if.
Yeah, if he could play the cannon on the red next to the black now, that would be perfect, where he's still got a couple of others. Not quite. They'll be moderately happy, isn't it? Well, does the top ball go? Play a plant if not. Slightly running out of time though. The options for getting into the black and red aren't immediately obvious from this position. Oh, well, he was able to manufacture an angle off the plant. So, one more good positional shot here. He's made this look pretty simple. This could have been a difficult match for him. Alex Lewis in full flow can be quite a handful, but never quite turned on the full flow.
Yeah, he's not. He looked for the last couple of frames almost like poised, ready to jump out of his chair and shake hands with Adam. I think he kind of resigned himself on that one a couple of frames ago. But we know he's a better player than that. He just hasn't managed to turn up with it today. But I'm sure he'll put that behind him and get up fresh tomorrow morning for the challenge. But it's Adam Davis who will go through. I think we're going to conclude things for this evening. We start again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So we're gonna call it a day by the time we've packed up and got back. It's an early start tomorrow, so we'd rather start fresh tomorrow than try and stay up late tonight. If you want to keep up with any of the scores, please do so. They're all there on qscore.com. You can go to the live tab and find the World Rules Pool Tour Event 1. But for now, from us, thanks very much, Mark, and probably see you tomorrow. Enjoy.
Yeah, I hope so, and well done to you for a solid 10-hour shift today. I'm sure you'll be glad to have a break now.
Yeah, definitely. You back on the table tomorrow for the challenge?
Yeah, actually, I'm not quite sure what time. Sometime mid-morning tomorrow, I think.
Have you seen the draw?
I have. I actually can't remember. Some people say that when they're just gaming their opponent. I actually can't remember who I've got.
Yeah.
I'll have to go and have a look after.
Cool. Well, best of luck tomorrow. Enjoy your game, and thanks to the Beard team for a solid effort today. And we shall see you all bright and early. 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Set your alarm clocks. We'll be there. Be there with us too. Good night.